As an experienced educator with 12 years of teaching in K through 12 and 6 years in higher education, I have learned and adopted several practices to make my classroom more inclusive. In this video, I will share 10 strategies and answer some of the often asked questions about inclusive teaching, such as, how can I create a welcoming and inclusive environment for all students? How can I make sure that my teaching and assessment practices are fair and equitable? How do I incorporate diverse perspectives and experiences into my teaching? So, if you are interested to know how to make your classroom more inclusive, keep on watching. Hello everyone. Recently, inclusive teaching has been getting a lot of attention on college campuses. Just in the past couple of years, there have been so many books published on the subject. To make sure we are on the same page, here is my understanding of inclusive teaching. To me, inclusive teaching means creating a classroom culture where every student has an equal access to learning opportunities and feels welcome, valued, safe, and supported to succeed academically. So why is inclusive teaching important? One big reason is that our classrooms are more diverse than ever before. Instead of blaming students for having different identities, abilities, and life experiences, we should embrace and value the unique perspectives and backgrounds they bring to the classroom. Another benefit of inclusive teaching is that it helps students develop empathy and respect for others, which are crucial skills for success in today's diverse and interconnected world. Let's dive in 10 strategies that I use in my classroom to create an inclusive environment for all students. Number 1, adopting a welcoming and approachable personality. As an instructor, it's important for me to adopt a welcoming and approachable personality in order to create a positive and inclusive environment for my students. This starts on the very first day of class. I make sure to greet students at the door, ask about their names, and smile to put them at ease. Throughout the semester, I try to project a positive and approachable personality by sharing stories about myself in lessons, being present and available for students, and arriving early and staying after class. By adopting this kind of personality, I hope to help students feel like they belong in my class and encourage them to actively participate and engage with the material. Number 2, learning students' names. I believe that another way to show students that they are included is by learning their names. Calling students by their names fosters trust and helps in better human connection. Depending on the size of the class, this can be more or less challenging, but I always make an effort to learn my students' names. For example, last semester I had 150 students whom I met once a week. By the 4th week, I had learned about 80% of the names and around 95% by the 6th week. The photo roster is the best method for me to use. I devote time in the first few weeks to learn names and practice them before every class. I also have the photo roster in front of me when I take attendance and on my desk during class. In the past few years, when I taught international students and had difficulty pronouncing their names, I asked them to audio record themselves saying their names and posting the recording in a forum. This gave me and their classmates the chance to practice their names. I try to remember that my students can see that I'm trying, and I believe they appreciate that. Number 3, getting to know my students. I believe that when I know my students, I have a deeper understanding of who they are and how best to support them. This helps me to form stronger and more meaningful connections with them. One highly recommended tactic I use is giving a pre-semester survey. I send a Google form in week 0 and then send a reminder in week 1. In the form, I ask students about their names, hometowns, interests, and what would make the course materials interesting or useful to them. One request I frequently receive from my students is for more visual resources to help them better understand the material. Another way I get to know my students is by asking them to post written or video introductions in the forum on the course site in the first week. Also, as instructors, we have access to information about our students' majors and years through our school systems. I try to use this information when designing and refining the course content and giving examples in class. This information is especially helpful when I prepare for one-on-one meetings at office hours, as it helps a lot in relationship building when students see that I have taken the time to learn about them and their interests. Number 4, choosing content that reflects diversity. For me, it's really important to include diverse perspectives in my course materials, to show students from historically marginalized backgrounds that they have a place in the scholarly community. Here are some ways I try to do this. I look for sources written by scholars from a range of backgrounds, including people of different races, ethnicities, genders, and abilities. Number 2, I use videos of traditionally underrepresented individuals delivering content, and there are so many resources available on YouTube today. Number 3, and this one is less commonly used in most classrooms. It is about incorporating images, quotations, and names from diverse populations in class lectures and assignments. Number 5, explaining the rationale behind the activities and assignments. I believe it's important to create an equitable classroom where students understand the rationale behind my choices for course content. To do this, I try to explain the reasoning in student-friendly language, not just referring to course outcomes, but clearly showing the benefits of each activity or assignment for students' intellectual and skill growth in this course and beyond. Here are 2 ways I do this. I show the practical application of the material, such as highlighting how the content they are learning is used and can be used in their own lives or in specific careers. Number 2, I connect the material to the current events and issues. This helps students understand the purpose of what they are learning and how it relates to their own goals and interests. Number 6, giving students time to think. As an instructor, I understand that many students need time to process ideas or questions and formulate their own thoughts before participating. This is especially true for introverts, students with learning differences, and multilingual students. To give students time to think independently, I use techniques such as think, pair, share. These techniques allow students to think first, share with a partner, and then share with a group or class. Another way I give students time to think is by using wait time. I made it a habit to wait 6 to 7 seconds before eliciting the first response. This helps establish a classroom environment that encourages the thoughts and perspectives of all students. I believe that everyone's ideas have value to add to the discussion. Number 7, reaching out to individual students. I show my students that I care about their success by sending them individual emails, especially those with certain issues such as incomplete assignments, absences, or frequent missed deadlines. I encourage these students to visit me during office hours so I can become more aware of their needs and share extra resources to support them. This helps students see that I care about their progress and am willing to go the extra mile to help them succeed. Number 8. Demystifying office hours. Office hours are a great opportunity to get to know your students on a more personal level, which helps tremendously in building relationships and understanding students' desires and needs. To encourage more students to come to office hours, I bring up conversations and stories from office hours in class, so students can see the value they can get from attending. I also try to make office hours more convenient by offering a variety of formats, face-to-face or online, times, different days and times, and locations, office, library, coffee shop. This helps ensure that there is an option that works for everyone. If you are interested in learning more about office hours, watch my video about 12 mistakes teachers make and how to avoid them in office hours. Number 9. Using inclusive grading. I make a conscious effort to use grading practices that are fair and equitable for all students. Here are some ways I try to do this. Number 1. I believe in using a variety of methods for assessment rather than just relying on high-stakes exams. This is because exams can be stressful for students and don't always give a complete picture of what they have learned. Instead, I take into account things like class participation, projects, and papers when assessing students' learning. Giving students multiple opportunities to show what they know helps them feel more confident and helps me better understand their learning of the material. Number 2. I try to be fair and upfront with my grading. I let my students know exactly what I'm looking for when explaining the grading rubric, and I try to avoid any language or standards that might unfairly benefit or disadvantage anyone. I want to make sure that everyone has a clear understanding of what is expected. Number 3. I make sure to give feedback and support to my students. Providing constructive feedback can really help them understand what they need to work on and how to improve. It's a crucial part of the learning process. Number 4. I make sure to provide necessary accommodations for students who need them, like extra time on exams or alternative formats for assignments. It's important to me that everyone has a fair chance to succeed. Number 10. Utilizing technology. In my experience, technology has been a valuable resource for promoting inclusivity in the classroom. One of the main ways it has done this is by enhancing the accessibility of course materials. By using features such as closed captions, transcripts, and alternative formats like e-text and videos, I am able to make the readings, assignments, and lectures more accessible to all students, regardless of their learning styles or abilities. Also, technology facilitates collaboration and participation among my students. Tools like discussion forums and video conferencing have helped to build a sense of community and encouraged active engagement. Polls and other apps that allow for anonymous responses have also removed some of the pressure and hesitation students might feel in contributing to class discussions. I have been grateful for the ways in which technology has provided accommodations for students with disabilities. Screen readers and speech-to-text technologies have allowed these students to access course materials and fully participate in class activities despite any challenges they may face. Overall, technology has been so rewarding to see the difference it has made in my students' ability to succeed in their studies and feel included in the learning process. Here you are, 10 inclusive teaching practices in my classroom. I would love to know about your experience. What strategies do you use in your classroom to make it more inclusive? Comment below. And if you find this video helpful, consider giving it a like and subscribe. Take care, and I will see you in the next video.